This time on Rad Rat Comics, I want to tell you the story of how the Flash risks certain death to make sure that somebody's taxes get paid. Seriously, let's do it. Welcome to Rad Rat Comics, a channel about comics in various different ways. I'm still working out the exact details of what's going to be on this channel. Unboxing stuff, showing off purchases, maybe sometimes sharing weird stories from comics that I've read. If you see me glancing at my crotch a lot, it's because I have the Flash Silver Age Omnibus here. But I wanted to tell you the story of how the Flash risks his life to make sure that the government gets the taxes that they're potentially owed. I have a love-hate relationship with anything from the Silver Age because a lot of the stories are just nonsense, as you'll see very shortly. But that kind of has a charm to it that makes it kind of interesting. You know, if you ever watch a lot of crime shows and you get used to them, you can kind of guess what's going to happen because they always set things up. You know, like this character will kind of look over at that shelf a couple times, and in the end you'll realize that that's where the last clue was. You know, like they'll always set things up so that it pays off in the end. And if you know what to look for, you can guess what the end is. But in Silver Age DC especially, stuff just kind of happens. They will come up with a concept to put on the cover to get people to buy it. They'll write whatever they have to get to that scene that they started with, and then they'll just figure out how to end it. And it doesn't always make sense, but the hero always wins in DC, at least. So let's look at The Flash. This is issue number 116, The Man Who Stole Central City. So the cover is not a lie, necessarily, although it happens like right away on the first page, so you don't really even need to worry about the cover. They couldn't have a cover about a guy avoiding paying his taxes, so I see why they went with this scene, but yeah, let's get into the story. So essentially what's going on is there's a different world where they have a 3D model of Central City, which is where the Flash lives. It's like a 3D hologram of the city, and it's live. So I can watch people going about their day, and it's actually happening. The trick is, what's happening in their model is happening an hour before it actually happens. Okay, so this is a teacher with a bunch of students, and they're basically studying people. It's like a college class about the Earth, I guess, and they can just observe the people of Earth and see what's happening. And the way that they got this is by this guy, the teacher, who went to Earth and he took a holographic picture, and that's what you see on the cover. He's stealing Central City and the fact that he has captured a 3D model of it. Like nothing, he hasn't stolen anything. Okay, so the Flash chases him, he gets away to his own dimension, and that's the end of it. The students watch it, they kind of get to know the Flash, they like him, they're all his fans. Got a few pages of nonsense you don't need to worry about. What you do need to worry about is this guy. His name is Modry, and you can tell he's evil because he's so ugly, because 60s, you know, like ugly people are always evil. So his plan is not necessarily that evil, but all he wants to do is figure out how to make money with this device because it sees things an hour in advance, use that to his advantage, bet on sports, stuff like that, and then retire from his job. He is a bottle cleaner, it says, like he is the assistant, he's the janitor, he's something like that. He wants to upgrade his life, use this to make money, and go retire onto Earth. And so he does this. He observes the stocks, and he's able to make good financial investments knowing what the outcome is going to be. So he hits the all-time high of different companies as they're on the stock market. He bets on horses, and of course he always wins. And he amasses nearly $1 billion. And what's more than that, he has kept his way of making money intact. So he doesn't take the model with him. He sets it up to broadcast to his TV. And I've got to give him props on his house here. For being the 60s, he's got like a 150-inch widescreen TV. I mean, that's pretty cool. I would live in this house. This is a pretty sweet house. I don't understand the really thin turret. It's like a spiral staircase that leads to nothing. Seems like all that could be in those. But still, he gets his super sweet house, and then the tax man comes. This isn't the tax man, like a superhero that's tax themed. It's literally just the local tax guy. And he says, I'm from the State Taxation Department, Mr. Odrex. He changed his name from Modry for some reason. We want a complete report on your earnings for the past year. Please fill out this tax form. Okay. Put yourself in Mr. Odriex's shoes here. You have nearly $1 billion in the 60s, so that's a ton of money, and you have the means to make as much money as you want. You can watch the TV news. He does that later. You can watch the news to see what happens, what the lotto numbers are, and just make another $1 million anytime you want. No big deal. He is basically infinitely rich. So the government comes and they say, hey, you owe us some taxes on all this money you have. You can either pay it, you can wait and pay it later, because this is all over the course of like a week, it seems like. There's not a lot of time passage in the story. It's been like a week. So he'll pay his taxes at the end of the year. Whatever, no big deal. He has plenty of time to make more money. He could win whatever bet he wants tonight and pay off the taxes. But instead, just who does the government here think it's dealing with? I'll soon show this fellow I'm not to be annoyed by such matters. So he takes a stand here. Here's the thing. He has not committed a crime on Earth. He's not committing insider trading because no one tells him insider information about the companies that he's investing in. He happens to know that they're going to be worth more later. It's not illegal to know who's going to win a horse race. Like, he hasn't committed any crimes. If he wanted to just pay his taxes, he would be fine. If the question was why he doesn't have a social security number, then maybe there would be an issue, but that doesn't happen. So he doesn't decide to pay his taxes. He doesn't decide to defer his taxes and deal with it later once he has even more money. What he does is he pulls out a matter dematerializer and he shoots the tax form to make it dissolve and asks, "Form? What form, my good man?" So the tax man has to go get another form. But this is where the Flash draws the line. So we see the Flash. He says, "A mystery man with strange powers challenging the authorities? It's a signal for Barry Allen to become the Flash and look into it." So if you defy the authorities in any way, the Flash will get involved. Now, you can imagine maybe in recent events where the authorities may have been in the wrong on something, the Flash would jump in to defend the honor of the police in any way, to track down anybody who is potentially committing a crime. Again, he hasn't really committed a crime. Destroying a tax form, I don't think that's a crime. Pulling a weapon on a tax man, I mean, maybe you could call that assault. But, like, come on. This isn't really something that the Flash needs to get involved in. And there's another reason why he shouldn't. Because right before he leaves, another man shows up. This is Teacher Eliter from the other planet where they have the 3D model of Central City. He just watched the Flash confront him and die for it. So he says, like, hey, I have to warn you, if you go confront this guy, you're going to be killed. And Flash believes him. He says it has the ring of truth. So the Flash is told, if he tries to go see why this guy won't pay his taxes, he will die for it. What does he decide to do? He says, "I can't back down, but thanks for trying to help me." So yeah, the title of this was not clickbait. The Flash risks certain death, where this guy watched him die. He risks certain death to make sure that the government gets their taxes paid. Now keep in mind, none of this is proven. This guy is just rich and the government wants to know why. He could have been from another country and brought all of the money with him. Like, nobody knows who this guy is. He hasn't actually committed any crime except for maybe assault by pulling out what looks like a TV remote as assault. But like, the Flash doesn't know any of this stuff. He sees a newspaper article that says that he refuses to pay his taxes. Like, okay, anyway, the Flash comes up with a plan as he runs over to his house. What is this plan? So, like I was saying in the beginning, sometimes things just happen. Sometimes a superhero's powers will just be different this time, just for the sake of the story. Sometimes they will rely on physics and this weird quirk of physics, except they just made it up and it doesn't make any sense. So what does the Flash do? Let's take a look. Suddenly the world's fastest man puts on a really fantastic burst of speed. I think I have it. Maybe I can't change the future, but I may be able to outwit it. My first step is to increase my speed fast as I possibly can go. And next we see teacher leader watching the news, seeing that he has been arrested for the tax evasion, but he doesn't know how it happened. So how did the Flash outwit being shot? How did he outwit the future like he said he was going to do? Well, I will explain. I suddenly began to go so fast that I actually pulled away from my own image, but I knew I only had the faintest split second before the image would fade. So he was going super fast. The people from the other planet were watching him as he ran, but he ran so fast that he could do stuff, come back, and catch up with his image. What does that mean? So light is bouncing off of him as he runs and going into the eyeballs of the people who are watching him. This light photon bounces off. He runs, does stuff, comes back, and then the next photon bounces off of him. Like, I guess. So he can run, 10 times the speed of light, I guess? Right? Because he's there and back before light notices that he's gone? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. So what's his plan? As he's invisible, he's running so fast that light doesn't even bounce off of him. He runs into the guy's house. He unloads his gun. Well, he doesn't unload it. He deadens it, which I guess means he put blanks in there or he took out the gunpowder. I don't know. But he's doing it at 10 times the speed of light, roughly. Then he runs back. He catches back up with his image. He lets the guy shoot him with his blank, and he pretends to die to trick him into capturing him. Now, he can run. Okay, everything about this doesn't make sense. This guy is suspected of not paying taxes, so the Flash breaks into his house and attacks him. The guy tries to defend himself by shooting him, which is fair. He isn't convicted of anything. No one has tried to arrest him. A tax guy showed up once. That's it. Flash breaks into this house and arrests this guy, but he has to pretend to be dead, even though he can move 10 times the speed of light. But he has to, so that the TV would look like he died. So this must have been his plan in advance for the people to have seen it in the future. Or else they saw it happen, and he just had to mime what they saw to get away with changing the future without actually changing it. I think that's what happened. I'm not really sure. Anyway, this guy goes to jail for tax evasion, and the people of that other planet, they watch him on their projection, and they know that he is a hero. Okay. He has maybe assaulted a tax man. He's in jail for not paying his taxes. He is worth nearly $1 billion. He could make bail. He could pay off his taxes and be out on the street the next day. But thankfully, the Flash has saved the day. That's what happens in this comic. This is the kind of thing I'm talking about. It's absurd. It is ridiculous, but it's hilarious. I can't help but laugh looking at this. There's no way I could have guessed that the way the Flash would solve it is to outrun his image and do things before light. It's for a guy who didn't pay his taxes for no reason. Have you ever heard, it's when you write something, you should keep in mind that everyone is the hero of their own story. So a bad guy does stuff that he thinks is good. He's stealing, but he thinks that there's a good reason for it. People don't just do evil to be evil. They always think there's a good reason, right? That's how you make a good story. A villain in a comic book should have a good reason. There's no reason to refuse to pay your taxes when you have an infinite stream of money. So that is the saga of M. Odriex, who it would be funny if he came back later, they'll reuse a villain who breaks out of jail and does stuff. It would be amazing if he came back later. I only have the first volume here, and I'm sure they didn't bring him back, but it would be amazing if they did. Anyway, I have a few of these weird Silver Age stories I would like to share with you, including one about a honorary Justice League member whose only power is that he snaps his fingers when he likes things. His name is Snaps. I might tell you his story some other time. But for now, that's it. Subscribe if you want to see any more of this kind of stuff, and I will see you then. Thanks for watching.